if he has any superpower, it is his ability to make himself the center of attention at all times without it being completely blatantly obvious that he's doing so. One way that he's done it, he's floated this idea that he can come back and play this year, that he can come back at age 39. He'll be 40 in December from an Achilles tendon tear. And I know there's some out there think, oh, it wasn't. There's no way it was a full tear. There's no way he'd be walking now if it was a full tear. Regardless, it's a serious injury. He's the one that put it out into the universe. The universe reacted. Specifically, his head coach, Robert Saleh, was on NFL Network recently and was all in with this idea he's going to be back, he's going to be back. And now everybody's swept up in the he's going to be back, when's he going to be back, when's he going to be back. So yesterday, because of the furor that Aaron Rodgers created, on with Pat McAfee, what did he try to do? You got to reel this back in a little bit. Let's have a listen to some of what Rodgers had to say on the progress he has made while rehabbing that Achilles injury.
Look, I think we're kind of way ahead, Pat, in just even saying that. There's just markers. You saw me walk without crutches and throw on the field. Like, that's another marker is going to be jogging, and then another marker is going to be going through a pregame workout probably and getting on the practice field. And all these are going to take time. It's not just going to be, boom, 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 boom. There's critical markers that I have to hit as far as single leg strength and being able to do heel raises and being able to do explosive movements. And these are all progressions that take time. So this is, obviously, we're ahead of schedule. There's a lot of factors to that. There's the way I've attacked the rehab. There's obviously the surgery that Dr. Elitrosh did. There's the rehab that I've done and kind of the round-the-clock approach that I've had. There's implementing the diet that I've been doing as well. And then just the power of the mind and the power of the manifestation of the desires. All those things together still doesn't get you back on the field. You have to hit a bunch of different things and be feeling a certain way. But that's the goal. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to put a timetable on it specifically. That makes absolutely no sense.
He also said, let's cool our jets a little bit on this talk of coming back. And again, he's the one that put it out there. Nobody else. There was no Sunday Splash report, hey, Aaron Rodgers could come back and play this season. He controls his own narrative. He controls his own message. He said it on McAfee's show. He said it. He put it out there. And he's right about everything that he's saying. There are all of these various markers, but one of the markers was walking without crutches or any other external assistance, and he's already there. So he's accelerating through the markers. It's happening fast. And yes, you have to do this, then this, then this, then this, but what used to take months is now taking weeks, and maybe it'll soon be days. And this is how he's just trying to balance this whole thing. Because, hey, look, this goes back 3-4 weeks when everyone was saying you need to trade for Kirk Cousins, you need to trade for a starter. Well, you've already got your starting quarterback who's got the Achilles tendon injury saying, I may be back this year, so what are you going to do? You're going to bring in Kirk Cousins and then say to him, if you make it to the playoffs, have a seat, Kirk. The real starter's coming back now, even though we gave up a bunch of stuff to get you. So that's always kind of been looming. And now what's looming, Charean, is Zach Wilson's got to be thinking about this. Hey, I'm finally starting to figure this out. I'm finally starting to play the way they needed me to. I'm finally helping this team win games. And you know what my reward's going to be? Daddy's going to be ready to go, and I got to go back to the bench again.
Well, and I said that initially, Mike, if they were good enough to make it to the playoffs, because that's probably when he comes back. I don't see any way he comes back before that. Then that means they're playing awfully well, and Zach Wilson has played well enough to get them there. So, yeah, I know the left foot, it makes it a little bit easier to come back from this, but still, the surgery was September 13th. It takes 3 months to heal, and nobody's come back from this, I don't think, any quicker than 4 months. There's only 2 guys I've seen that have done amazing. There's probably more than that. There's 2 that stand out to me that were just amazing turnarounds from injuries. And one was, as you know, Adrian Peterson. He tore that ACL and MCL in 2011. 2012, he was NFL MVP. It doesn't happen. It was late in the 2011 season. People don't come back from an ACL that quickly. And people don't play that well. the next year after an ACL. It takes 2 years. But no, he did it. And then DeMarcus Ware played a game. I was there, Chargers here at AT&T Stadium. He leaves in an ambulance with a stinger. No way possible he's going to play. They play the 13-0 Saints the next week. He comes back and plays an amazing game, and the Cowboys upset the Saints after having lost the Chargers the week before. Those are the two guys I've seen in my career that I said, those guys aren't normal healers. And it always strikes me, or go back to Brian Daboll saying, well, Saquon Barkley is a fast healer. No, he's not. He's a normal healer. Most guys in the NFL are normal healers. You can't speed up that process. So we'll see if he's a normal healer or he's one. Maybe he has a superpower, Mike, that he can heal a lot faster than other people. But sometimes it just takes time, and he does have all those markers still to go through.
One of the realities, professional athletes tend to recover from things the rest of us would not recover from as quickly, whatever it may be, because their bodies are finely tuned and they're not eating, for the most part, cheeseburgers and, fried chicken. Like I had fried chicken Monday night, and that was a problem because I want it every day now. So anyway, I digress, and I'm sitting here thinking about fried chicken again. But I also will add to your list Cam Akers, who tore his Achilles tendon fully and completely just a week or two before the start of training camp 2021 and was back by the end of the regular season and contributed to the Super Bowl run that the Rams went on when they got a ring before he fell out of favor the first time in L.A., and then they worked it out, and then he fell out of favor the second time, and he's kind of languishing so far in Minnesota. But the Achilles tendon is the one that just – there's only so much you can do to will your way through the rehab process. There's a healing, a natural healing that has to happen. That's what Rodgers is trying to accelerate. And I keep looking at their schedule, and I'm sure that even though he won't talk about it publicly, he's got an idea. He talks about manifestation all the time. And I'm a firm believer as well in the power of positive thinking, the power of believing that things are going to happen, believing that you're heading towards some goal, seeing it happen. We hear about that all the time in sports. Whether it's kickers doing the mental reps for field goals. There have been studies about people who do mental reps of shooting free throws. Even if they're not actually shooting the free throws, doing the mental reps helps you. You're visualizing what you're going to do. I get all that. But if he's doing it, there's no way in hell he doesn't have a big-ass calendar with all the markers on there, with what they say it should be and what he wants it to be. And overlaid on those markers is the schedule.
Yeah.
And there's no way in hell he doesn't have a target. There's no way he doesn't have a target. He's not going to say it because he doesn't want to be perceived as failing to make it. But there is no way he doesn't have a target. And I don't know what the target is. Boy, wouldn't it be something if he came back for that Black Friday game on Amazon? Holy cow. That's probably ambitious, even beyond what he would be thinking. But maybe he makes that the target, and then if he's off by a few weeks, so be it. Maybe he's back for the other Dolphins game. But I think, now that I'm talking my way through this, Charean, and I'm looking at the back half of that schedule, my goal, I want to be back for the first Dolphins game. I'm going to do everything I can to be back for the first Dolphins game. And if I can't do that, I'll be back for the second Dolphins game 3 weeks later.
Yeah, it is an interesting schedule, and they're going to have to stay in it at that point too, Mike. That's the other thing. If they lose a few of these games, then you're like, what is the point of coming back? So can they do that? I think that's the big question. And when you look at that, there's some winnable games on there. There's no question about that. So they've got to win those to stay in it, to give him hope to come back to do something special with the team. They've just got to get to the playoffs. They don't have to win the division. They just have to get to the playoffs, and then anything can happen if they have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback.
And you know what? Put that schedule up again. I think Miles and I were talking about this yesterday. When the schedule first came out, first 6 games before the bye, Murderer's Row, 3-3 was the best case scenario, even if they had Aaron Rodgers. And it got easier on the back end. You know what, though? That back end now, not as easy as maybe we would have thought. The Raiders are 3-3. The Falcons are 3-3. The Texans are 3-3. They could all be trying to jockey for position on the AFC or NFC playoff tree. The Commanders are 3-3. Like, the worst team left on their schedule is their next game. Well, and the Patriots. I forgot about the Patriots.
But they already lost to the Patriots.
Well, they did lose to the Patriots, but the Patriots are 1-5 and the Giants are 1-5. But before they get to Week 18 at the Patriots, Bill Belichick's final game, quite possibly, they're going to go up to deliver the dagger. And think about that, too. Do you really want to be playing the Patriots in New England for what might then be generally accepted as his last game? Do you really want to be walking into Foxborough, Gillette Stadium, for what people will generally believe is Bill Belichick's last game? I don't want to play him that week. So really, there's just one easy win left. And I don't know how easy it's going to be against the Giants, because that's a rivalry once every 4 years with a chance of once every 2 years. But the back half post-bye, not as easy as it looked in May. And there's some tough games left. And as you said, they got to hold it together or it's not going to matter. They lose to the Giants and then lose to the Chargers and fall to 3-5, much different vibe. These next two games are critical
Yeah.
as they finish out the first 8 games of the season. And having Rodgers around, as Saleh said, his presence is his superpower. They need a lot of that superpower. They need a lot of that presence and a lot of that positivity to hold this together in the short term.
Yeah, and they've got to win games. And if they don't win games, then we're not even talking about a rush to get him back, because what's the point to put pressure on that Achilles? You just let him go and start looking to next season at that point. So they've got to win a bunch of games, Mike. The fortunate thing for them, obviously, is with the 17 games, with the longer season, AFC teams are going to beat up each other. There's 3 wild card teams, so maybe they stay in it long enough to get him back.
The Dolphins and the Bills look to be on track to take 2 of the 7 spots. And I remember saying, based on the schedule and based on the way it was laid out, there's a chance only one team from that division is going to make the playoffs. The Jets are going to be the 3rd team in, quite possibly. They still have the Bills again, and they've beaten the Bills once, so who knows? Maybe it'll be the Jets and the Bills jockeying for one of the playoff spots. But it's more of a gauntlet down the stretch than you would think and that I would have expected. So when will he be back? Can he be back before Week 18? Will it even matter? They have to hold it together in the short term. And that short-term schedule, at the Giants in their home stadium, a 1 o'clock Eastern game. Then we got them Monday night against the Chargers, Sunday night on NBC at the Raiders, and then a late afternoon game at the Bills before the first ever Black Friday game, 3 o'clock Eastern on November 24th. Next 5 games, we're going to know a lot about whether it's even going to matter for Aaron Rodgers to keep hitting his markers in his rehab as he tries to come back. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.